I certainly don't want diabetes. That's one of the greatest fears. It caused my mother to lose her eyesight prematurely. Sores would not heal. The medication was terribly expensive and awfully inconvenient.
My biggest fear is not to get what my aunts and aunties have, both on my father and my mother's side, and that is diabetes.
Without question, diabetes is a silent killer. It is devastating in the Afro-American community and most people of color. Absolutely devastating.
These people are talking about diabetes, a serious disease affecting over 18 million people in the United States.
The groups that are at risk for diabetes and therefore who are the targets for this program include African Americans, Native Americans, Asian and Pacific Islanders, groups like Latinos, and older citizens, people over the age of 60.
Millions of people are at risk for diabetes. Although there is no cure for type 2 diabetes, those at risk can take steps to prevent the disease.
Once a person is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, there is no known cure. There are very effective treatments, and we've done very well in treating and controlling this disease. But the complications are serious, they are devastating, they are expensive, and that's why it is so important that we prevent this disease in the first place.
Risk factors for type 2 diabetes include being over 45 years of age, being overweight, having high blood pressure or abnormal cholesterol, having a family history of the disease. Recent research has shown that you can sharply lower your chance of getting type 2 diabetes. According to a new campaign from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services called Small Steps, Big Rewards, taking small steps can help.
We now have the evidence from important clinical trials, major studies, to show that even if you are overweight, at very high risk, in the age 45 and older age group, you can, by taking small steps, physical activity, changing your eating patterns and your eating behavior, you can actually prevent the development of type 2 diabetes.
Sam Kitching has taken that advice. Not only has he started exercising, bike riding with his wife, and working out at the local gym to lose weight, but he has also changed his diet.
We've not eaten some of the things that we actually grew up eating and had to change the patterns of the way we did it. We no longer keep the big red bucket of ice cream in the freezer, no longer keep the chips and the cookies for the grandkids in the closet.
Frenchie Risco also recognizes the importance of changing his diet.
You will have high blood pressure and diabetes before you know it. And that's because for years we've had improper diets, improper ways that we cook our food. And when it's generation after generation and you don't know any better, the end result is that you don't change. And it's imperative that everybody changes their diet.
Frenchie was so determined to change his eating habits that he enrolled in classes to learn how to cook healthier food.
At this class, they taught us how to cook it. Not only did they cook it for you so that you could see what it should look like and what it should taste like, then they teach you how to do it yourself.
The closest to me.
You'd be surprised at what some of this food tastes like. So good.
Dr. Gavin, who heads up the National Diabetes Education Program, emphasizes that it's the small steps that can make the difference.
In this campaign, we are really trying to get people to understand that it is not necessary to run a marathon. It is not necessary to go to the gym every day. Small steps are required. 150 minutes of walking a week, 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. It is not necessary to go on a starvation diet. It is not necessary to lose 100 pounds. 5 to 7% of your starting body weight for a 200-pound person, 15 pounds over a 2-year period. Small steps.
Carmencita Domingo is doing just that. She's taking small steps with older adults in her community by getting them to exercise.
I will tell my friends and family how good it is to have a good health because you are not sick, you are not miserable, and there are ways to follow it, to prevent it. And that is by the combination of good, healthy eating, portion control, and exercise.
When you realize that the small investment of increasing your activity by doing something as simple as walking can cut your risk for heart attacks, blindness, strokes, kidney failure, amputations, that's an investment worth making. Small step, a huge reward.